We are live completely.
Okay. We'll start. नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा इतिपिसो भगवारहं सम्मा संबुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरिसधम्म सारथि सत्ता देव मनुष्याणां बुद्धो भगवाति नमो तस्स सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा ये च बुद्धा अतीता च ये च बुद्धा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये बुद्धा अहं वन्दामि सब्बदा नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेना होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमं येन वन्देऽहं पादपंसो वरुत्तमं बुद्धेयो कलितो दोषो बुद्धो कमतु तं मम बुद्धं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो सन्दिटीको अकालिको एहिपस्सिको उपनायिको पच्छत्तं वेदितव्यो विन्नोहीति नमो तस्य नियानिकस्य धम्मसा ये च धम्मा अतीता च ये च धम्मा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये धम्मा अहं वन्दामि सब्बदा नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेना होतु नो जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमं येन वन्देऽहं धम्मं च त्रिविधुत्तमं धम्मेयो कलितो दोषो धम्मो कमतु तं मम धम्मं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो जुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो यदिदं चत्तारि पुरिसयुगानि अट्टपुरिसपुग्गल एषा भगवतो सावक संगो आहुनेयो पाहुनेयो दक्किनेयो अंजलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यकेतं लोकस्साति नमो तस्स अट्टार्य पुग्गला महासंगस्सा ये च संगा अतीता च ये च संगा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये संगा अहं वन्दामि सब्बदा नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं संगो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेना होतु नो जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमं येन वन्देऽहं संगं च त्रिविधुत्तमं संज्ञेयो कलितो दोषो संगो कमतु तं मम संगं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि विपत्ति पटिवाहाय सब्ब संपत्ति सिद्धिया सब्ब दुःखं विनाशाय सब्ब भयं विनाशाय सब्ब रोगं विनाशाय भवेदीगायुकदायक सब्ब लोकं हितत्ताय परित्तं तं वनामहे समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्र गच्छन्तु देवता सद्धम्मं निराजसा सुनन्तु सग्गमोक्कदम् धम्मश्रवण कालो अयं बदन्ता धम्मश्रवण कालो अयं बदन्ता परित्तश्रवण कालो अयं बदन्ता नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा यानि भूतानि समागतानि बुम्मानि वायानि व अन्तलिक्ये सब्बेव भूता सुमना भवन्तु अतोऽपि सक्कच्च सुनन्तु भासितं तस्मा हि भूतानि समेत सब्बे मेत्तं करोत मानुषीयापजाय दिवाचरत्तो च हरन्ति ये बलिं तस्मा हि नेरक्षत अपमत्ता अयं किञ्चिवित्तं इदवाहुरं वा सज्ञेषु वायं रतनं पणीतं ननो समं अत्ति तथागतेन इदंपि बुद्धे रतनं पणीतं ये तेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु खयं विरागं अमतं पणीतं यदज्जगा शक्यमुनि समाहितो न तेन धम्मेन समत्ति किञ्चि इदंपि धम्मे रतनं पणीतं ये तेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु Yam Buddha setto parivarnai suching samadhimanantarikanyamu samadhinatena samona vijjati idam pidam me ratanang panitang etena saccena suvatti hotu ye puggala atta satang pasatta chattari etani yugani honti te dakkinayya sugatassa savaka ete sudinnani mahappala idampi sange ratanang panitang yetena saccena suvatti hotu ye suppayutta manasadalena nikkamino gotamasasanam hi te patti patta amatan vigaya ladda muda nibbutin kunjamana idampi sange ratanang panitang yetena saccena suvatti hotu yatinda kilo pataving sito siya chatubhivate hi asampakampiyo tatupamang sappuris vadami yo ariya satchani aveccha passati idampi sange ratanang panitang yetena saccena suvatti hotu ye ariya satchani vibhavayanti gambhira pannena sudesitani kinchapi te honti bhusappamattana te bhavang attamang adiyanti idampi sange ratanang panitang yetena saccena suvatti hotu सहावसदस्सन संपदाया तयस्सु धम्मा जहिता भवन्ति सक्काय दिट्ठि विचिकिच्छितञ्च सिलब्बतं वापि यदत्ति किञ्चि चतुहपाये च विप्पमुक्तो चाभितानानि अबव्वकातुम् इदम्पि संगे रतनं पणितं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु किंचापि शोकं करोति पापकं कायेन वाचा उदचेतसा वा अबब्बसोतस्य पटिच्छदाय अबब्बतादिट्टपदस्य उक्ता इदम्पि संगे रतनं पणितं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु वनप्पगुम्बे अथ पुष्सितज्ञे गिम्हानमासे पटमस्मिन् गिम्हे ततूपमन्दम् अवरम् अदेशयि निब्बानगामि परमं हिताय इदम्पि बुद्धे रतनं पणितं येतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु वरो वरण्यो वरदो वराहरो अनुत्तरोदम् अवरम् अदेशयि इदम्पि बुद्धे रतनं पणितं येतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु क्षीणं पुराणं नम्नत्ति सम्भवं विरक्तचित्तायति भवस्मि ते क्षीणबीजा अविरुल्लिच्छन्दा निब्बन्ति धीरा यतयं पदीपो इदम्पि संगे रतनं पणितं एतेन सच्चेन सुवत्ति होतु यानि दभूतानि समागतानि बुम्मानि वायानि व अन्तलिक्ये तथागतं देवमनुष्य पूजितं बुद्धं नमस्साम सुवत्ति होतु यानि दभूतानि समागतानि बुम्मानि वायानि व अन्तलिक्ये तथागतं देवमनुष्य पूजितं धम्मं नमस्साम सुवत्ति होतु यानि दभूतानि समागतानि बुम्मानि वायानि व अन्तलिक्ये तथागतं देवमनुष्य पूजितं संगं नमस्साम सुवत्ति होतु येतेन सच्चवज्जेन सोतिनो होतु सब्बदा येतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु नो जयमङ्गलं येतेन सच्चवज्जेन पातु नो रतनत्तयं सब्बितियो विवज्जन्तु सब्बरोगो विनश्यतु माते भवत्वन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भवतु सब्बमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सब्बदेवता सब्बबुद्धानुभावेन सब्बधम्मानुभावेन सब्बसङ्घानुभावेन सदा स्वस्ति भवन्तु ते इमिना पुण्याकम्मेन मामे बालसमागमो सतं समागमो होतु यावनिब्बानपत्तिया इदं मे पुण्याकम्मं आसवक्कयं वहं होतु सब्बदुःखापमुच्यतु निब्बान संपत्सयो होतु साधु साधु साधु. So today's chanting is Ratana Sutta. Of course, many times we heard of this. How it is related to our today's topic, this happiness index. So last week we have seen something about the Buddha's version of happiness, the different ways and means to achieve happiness. Those aspects we have seen last week. Today we will look at a few more dimensions of happiness. the other ways and means to achieve happiness. That also we will see. And then we will see what exactly is happiness index, measurement of happiness, the range of happiness, the yardstick to measure happiness. Those things we will see. And our efforts, our approach, the way we have designed this right view mind cultivation, how it is one authoritative way to progress in this happiness index, to achieve higher index, the happiness index, the higher counts, the higher scale, how we can progress, how we can achieve higher scale in this happiness index. Those things also we will see. So just let us recapitulate it. Let us remember the previous weeks different ways and means that are suggested by Buddha in what is called the Sukhavagga. So it is one of the chapters in the Dhammapada. Dhammapada is like the concise Dhamma, like all the best verses of Buddha. They are compiled and they are grouped into what is called this Dhammapada, the verses of Dhamma. The most authoritative and most useful, most important verses. They are compiled together and it is Dhammapada. And in that Dhammapada text, the scripture, the 15th chapter is this Sukhavagga, and there are some 9, 10, or maybe some 12 verses are there in that Sukhavagga. A verse is nothing but a 4-line, what you call, a poetic way of presenting one concept. So that's called a verse, a gatha, a verse. So there are some 12 verses, 12, 13 verses in that Sukhavagga. So the gist of those, the meaning of those verses, and the background story also for some of the verses in that Sukhavagga chapter on happiness that we have seen last week. And we have grouped those different aspects of happiness into the faith. If you develop greater faith, greater conviction, greater confidence in the teachings of this enlightened one, the supremely enlightened one, to liberate the mind, that very faith itself is one one means to achieve happiness, higher and higher happiness. The more higher your faith levels, higher will be your happiness. Higher your confidence levels, higher your conviction levels, higher the faith levels, then your happiness levels will increase. That is one aspect, one dimension of happiness. That is the right faith. So establishing this right faith, so that's the reason why all our Dhamma talks, we start with this chanting. Because once you somehow connect to this chanting, consciously or subconsciously, intuitively or analytically, some means if you can connect to these chantings, then definitely you develop the right view, and that itself will pull you towards higher happiness. That is one indicator, one way of progressing in happiness. The second thing is, so the midst of the hateful people, in the midst of greedy people, in the midst of deluded people, how to remain unhated, how to remain non-greedy, how to remain non-deluded. That itself is one indicator, one one measuring scale, one yardstick to progress in this happiness. That means how not to reciprocate, how not to react to others' greed, others' hatred, and others' delusion. That is one yard scale based on which your happiness is determined. That is the second index, second happiness index, on which you can decide your happiness quotient, your happiness levels. Then the third thing that is described in that Sukhavagga is like the moderation and the middle path approach, not falling into the extremes of the sensual pleasures. And the stories also I told you last week. The one king, he was overeating, because of his sensual desire for taste and for eating, and how he used to develop a lot of laziness, lot of dullness, lot of physical problems, health issues. That is one extreme that will trap you into a lot of suffering, physical suffering and mental suffering. The other extreme is too much torturing of the body. And there is one again story where one hungry farmer, the tired farmer without food, he was searching for an arm. He was not ready to listen to Dhamma, not ready to cultivate his mind. The basic physical necessities are to be met. They should be taken care of. Then only the mind will open up for higher happiness, for higher wisdom, for higher freedom. So that concept is also very much appreciated by Buddha, that striking the moderation, striking the middle path, striking the balance, not indulging too much in sense pleasures, or not simply torturing the body without food, without any basic necessities of the body, basic pleasures of the body. Both these extremes one should avoid. That the more skillful you are in maintaining, in maneuvering, in balancing the sense pleasures and sense torture, and remain equanimous without getting troubled by these extremes of sense pleasures and sense torture, then also you are striking the true happiness. Then you are progressing in this happiness index, happiness quotient, you are developing, you are increasing. So that is one more aspect of developing happiness, progressing in a happiness index. According to Buddha, we will see other worldly concepts, worldly different indicators that are determining the happiness index in different countries, how they're measuring happiness index, the class happiness index in different companies, not only in countries, companies, the individuals also, how they measure their happiness index in the present world. In this, at the worldly sense, also we will see what is this happiness index and how they are measuring. And according to the scriptures, according to the Buddha's teachings, also we will see the happiness index. Then you will get authoritative, a complete range of happiness. From basic, when somebody is a small boy, he is aspiring to get some sweet or some chocolate, and gets it, he becomes happy. From that kind of very, very basic happiness to the supreme happiness, happiness of absolute enlightenment, absolute liberation of mind. Till then, there are different kinds of happiness levels. Those things we will see. One should have that complete range of happiness in his understanding, his mind, in his mental spectrum, in his mental screen. He should have that complete range of happiness. Then he will fix and find out where he is and where he has to march forward, where he has to go ahead in that happiness index. That clarity one will get by knowing this complete range, the wide spectrum of happiness, the complete canvas of happiness. That is what is the intention of this Dhamma talk. As a continuation of previous week's Dhamma talk on this happiness, understanding happiness, this happiness index. Today we will go a little deeper and we will find out the complete range of happiness. So again, in the last week, we have seen the faith levels, the moderation levels, the purity levels of the mind, non-reacting nature of the mind, non-reacting to the surroundings, either with greed or with hatefulness or with delusion. Though the world is full of these things, full of greed, full of hatred, full of delusion, how much non-reactive you are to these things, that will also decide your happiness. That is one more indicator, and how much moderate, how much skillful you are in striking the balance, not falling into the extremes of sensual pleasures and sensual torture. So that is also one of the indicators of happiness. And again, we have seen in the last week uh, how skillful you are in dissociating from the fools and associating with the wise people. The right association also will have a tremendous influence on your happiness levels. If you are being in the association of wise people, truly happy people, who know the complete range, the complete spectrum, the complete canvas of happiness, and who can progress, who can trod in this path authoritatively, and who can lead you authoritatively in this path. If you get the company of such people, wise people, then again you are say successfully or authoritatively progressing in the happiness quotient and the happiness index. That is one more yardstick that is explained last week. So that way we have seen different yardsticks to progress in this happiness index, in this happiness levels. Today we will take up a few more aspects which are rooted in the Buddha scriptures, different scriptures, not just in one Sutta Varga or one Dhammapada, from different scriptures, whether it may be from Majjhima Nikaya or from Samyutta Nikaya or from Anguttara Nikaya or from Sutta Nipata. There are different quotes or different techniques, different yardsticks given by Buddha in these different scriptures and different they were culled out from different scriptures, and there are 10 points here which are again say analyzed and which were experimented by so many researchers, and they have given their data also how these different codes, different techniques given in the scriptures are so authoritatively increase the happiness quotient, the happiness levels of individuals. That has been very much experimented, researched, and they are given as one beautiful data in the form of data, in the form of conclusion. So those 10 factors also we will see today, which will determine your happiness index, your progress in the happiness levels. And afterwards, how our approach also is an authoritative approach to increase our happiness levels. That also we will see. So what are these 10 factors? Based on the scriptures, many researchers have worked on it and they have found out how these 10 factors will increase our happiness levels. The first one is the 3 factors of a good donor. There is the case in Anguttara Nikaya, it is there. And which are the 3 factors of the donor? There is the case where the donor, before giving, is glad. The very idea of giving will make him glad. And while giving, his or her mind is bright and clear. While giving, is having absolute clarity and purity in his mind. And after giving, he is gratified. He will feel that gratefulness or that contentment. So these are the factors that will determine one's happiness. It is not just an act of giving. So before giving, one should have a joyful mind. He should be gladly give. Should determine. Should plan gladly to give. And then while he is giving, during the process of giving, when the act is being performed, he should feel that brightness and clarity, that purity and clarity he should experience. His defilements are going away. He's getting that freedom from the defilements. His possessiveness, his greed, it is going away. That he should experience while giving. That will determine his happiness index. And after giving, he should feel contented. He should feel satisfied. He should feel immense, say, santuti, like that I did the best. That kind of contentment, that kind of gratification one should feel. So these things will determine the happiness of a giver, of a donor. So different researchers worked on this, and they also concluded: make altruism and giving part of your life, and be purposeful about it. If giving and altruism, if it becomes a part of your life, and you are very purposeful, and your very meaning of life is for this sake only, to become altruistic, to become compassionate, to help or to give part of your life, and if that becomes the very purpose of your life, the very meaning of your life, if you can define in this way, then You can find out that who spend money on others or any worldly things on others, it is reported that they are much greater happiness they experience than those who spend it on themselves. So this altruism and sharing and giving, if that has become a part of your life, then you are more happy. And in that process, before giving, while giving, and after giving, you should measure your own mind, should measure your own feelings. Before giving, the mind should be thrilled and it should have that joy, should have that inner happiness. While giving, should experience that brightness and purity and that letting go of the greed that, and possessiveness that you should experience. And after giving, you should experience that gratification and content. Then you are progressing in this happiness quotient. You're increasing your happiness levels. That is what is explained the scriptures, and that has been experimented on so many people in one of the universities. Uh, One researcher by name Elizabeth Dunn. So he concluded that it works with majority of the mankind, and of course of his say subjects with whom he experimented, with whom that experiment the researcher experimented, and he has deduced that so this altruism works in increasing the happiness levels. And in fact, Buddhism has always emphasized the practice of dana or giving. Giving has not been seen purely as the exchange of material possessions. However, giving in Buddhist terms includes non-tangibles such as education, confidence, and wisdom. It's not just exchanging the physical things. It is like educating the permanent, the superior giving. Even Shila is also on giving. If you practice Shila, then you give what is called abhaya. You safeguard other people, you protect other people, you free the people from the fears and insecurity. When you don't kill, when you don't steal, when you don't indulge in sexual misconduct, when you don't lie, when you don't intoxicants. In that way, this art of giving is explained in different ways, even as even meditation also. So giving up your defilements is again one higher way of protecting yourself and protecting others. It's not just the physical giving the physical or materialistic things, even giving education, giving confidence, giving wisdom. All these things are very much highlighted in this happiness index of which is based on the giving, which is based on altruism, which is based on compassion. That is first factor. That is that will determine your happiness quotients, your progress in the happiness index. Then the second factor is, in simple words, it is explained as savor everyday moments. Each and every moment of the day should be in a position to accept, note, observe, and savor it and enjoy it, not simply imagining, dreaming something, and simply being carried away in some worrying or dreaming or imagining or planning. That is not the right way to become happy. And being in the moment and accepting the moment, be attentive of the moment, and enjoying the moment, the present moment. That is the yardstick. And I want to highlight about this, say, this factor because this is very important factor. So after covering these 10 points, when we take up how our approach, our path is one of an authoritative way to develop this happiness quotient, increase the happiness levels. There I will explain about this little more detail. I will give you a few more details about this second factor, that is savoring everyday moments. So what is in Samyukta Nikaya? So this is the previous one about dana. It is explained in Anguttara Nikaya. In Samyutta Nikaya, there is one more Nikaya, one more scripture in Samyutta Nikaya about this. It is explained. They sorrow not for what is past. They have no longing for the future. The present is sufficient for them. Hence, it is they appear so radiant. Actually, once the background story is this: once one king, he was in Pasenadi, king of Kosala. He came to see Buddha and he saw the different meditators there. And they were all very radiant. They were so happy. They were uh, they were charged with a lot of inner joy and happiness. And he asked one of his officers, why these people are so happy? I don't see. I have visited so many centers, so many communities, so many places, but I have never seen this kind of radiance, this kind of uh, say glow, this kind of charm, this kind of happiness in any other place. But here, these meditators, they look very, very happy, very, very charming, very, very radiant. Then Buddha says, not one of his officers directly asked Buddha. So then Buddha says, it's because they don't sorrow for what is past. They don't worry about what has happened previously. Past is past for them. They just ignore the past. And they have no longing for the future. They're not even bothered about the future. The present is sufficient for them. Present is sufficient for them. You see the beauty of this word, using of the words. The present itself is beautiful for them, is sufficient for them, and they completely surrender to the present. They completely accept the present. They completely enjoy the present. Hence, that's why they appear so radiant. That is the reason why these my disciples, they look so radiant. That way, Buddha gives the reason for the happiness of his disciples. What is the reason there? What is the factor of happiness that he's explaining? Their mindfulness, their attentiveness, their presence of mind, their heedfulness, their alertness, their involvement in the present moment. That is the key factor. That is the factor that is making them happy. So that's what is explained in this second factor, because they savor everyday moments instead of worrying about the past moments or the future moments. They savor the present moments, everyday moments. The study says the participants who took time to savor ordinary events that they normally hurried through or to think back on pleasant moments from their day showed significant increases in happiness and reductions in depression. This you should note. The people who are savoring, that's what you have learned in our different meditation, whether it is walking meditation, eating meditation, whatever you are doing, if you do it as a meditation, complete meditating, even brushing, even bathing, even sleeping, even cooking, or any damn thing, whether it is menial or a superior job, you give high value to it, great importance to whatever thing that you are doing that particular moment, then there will be complete transformation in your happiness levels. You completely change your lifestyle, change your attitude, change your thought pattern, change your say perception about happiness. So all these things are possible when you learn this art of mindfulness, art of living in the present moment, and that is what is very, very essential. And and this very art will take us up to the level of enlightenment. When the enlightenment is in the present moment, all the superior happiness, not only of the human beings, the divine beings, the Brahmic beings, or the enlightened ones, it is based on how efficiently they can penetrate into the present moment. So there are those things, of course. I will tell you maybe a little later after discussing all these 10 factors. So higher the ability of your mind to penetrate into the present moment, higher will be your happiness. That is one authoritative statement that I want to make at this juncture, because if you understand this statement, then you won't give up this path. You start appreciating the different contents that you have learned in level 1 or level 2 or level 3 or the future courses, like which course or level 4, level 5. Because in all these courses, the effort is to penetrate into the center of the time, to the present moment, as deeply as possible, as authoritatively as possible. Because that is the way to increase our happiness levels. That is a way to increase our lightness levels, our stillness levels, our liberating levels, our purification levels, and the same way our happiness levels also. Ultimate freedom also lies in the center of the time, in the present moment only. So that is the beauty of the mindfulness. This, of course, is an example of another fundamental Buddhist practice, that is mindfulness. When we are mindful, we stay in the present moment and really pay attention to our experience. Walking meditation and even eating meditation can be ways of savoring everyday moments. In being present, we dwell in the present without obsessing about the past or future, and this brings radiant happiness. In that way, appreciating and developing this attitude of enjoying each and every moment, it requires some change in our attitude. Always we think happiness is somewhere in the future. Happiness was somewhere in the past. We simply say, worry about whatever happiness that you lost in the past or that you had in the past, but now you are not having. And you always dream about happiness in the future and you lose the present moment. So this kind of attitude is there in the majority of the human beings. That's why they are unhappy. The main reason is seeking happiness, past or the future, is the main reason. So we should come out of that kind of attitude, and we should accept the present moment. We should get satisfaction in the present moment, or we should say we should feel this very present moment is sufficient enough for me to get the highest happiness. That kind of attitude, if you develop, then you got it. You got the right view. So that is second factor of the happiness. So in today's discussion, what is the first factor we have seen? The art of giving, the art of letting go, and the art of giving. That is the first factor that determines your happiness. That is one of the happiness index that you can think of to progress in these happiness levels. And the second factor is the mindfulness factor. So how mindful you are, how efficiently you are mindful, how skillfully you are mindful, how authoritatively you are mindful, that determines your happiness. That is again one more happiness index on which you can fully rely upon, fully depend upon for your happiness. And the third is, it's again important thing, that because people, they don't know about this also, majority of the people. What is this? The third factor that will determine your happiness. Avoid comparisons. People are stuck in comparisons. Many times, especially in higher levels, level 3 and maybe in level 2, level 3, I always emphasize on not to compare, not to compare yourself with any damn fellow. You are the result of your own thinking, your own actions, your own karma, not only from a few years or a few months or in this life. You're the result of your own thinking and your own way of thinking from so many lives. So you can't compare with any other damn fellow, because he is the result of his own thinking, his own actions, his own say behavior, his own reactions, his own awareness, his own mind development. So those things will determine him, and there is no need to compare two individuals. Each one is the result of, they are completely different beings, completely different entities. There is no need to compare. While keeping up with the, say, one of the American cultures, comparing ourselves with others can be damaging to happiness and self-esteem. Instead of comparing ourselves to others, focusing on our own personal achievement leads to greater satisfaction. So this is one of the conclusions from one of the researchers in America. There is no need to compare. If you compare, then you end up in lacking your self-esteem and lacking the happiness. So non-comparing and working on your own abilities, working on your own goals, your own aspirations is the best way to derive the happiness. So this non-comparison is one of the factors of, again, the happiness quotient, or increasing this progress in this happiness index. And this is very much and very beautifully explained in the Buddhist scriptures. And they say this comparison, as I used to say in some of the discourses, or maybe in one of the courses, maybe in one of our level 3 course, I think. So I always insist on this. What is called one concept called mana. Mana means measurement, comparison. Comparing or measuring the temperature is tapamana, vayomana, havamana, measuring the weather, measuring the age, measuring the temperature. Mana means measuring in the sense in our human world you can even call it as comparing. So for measuring, you have to compare one with the other. Is it not? That is what is measuring. So when you start measuring yourself with others, then only your mana means like I-ness and minus. Your ego also will develop. So higher the ego, higher the suffering. Well, how and why one will increase his ego? By measuring only. More you measure, more you compare, more you increase your ego. Higher the measuring, higher the comparison, higher will be the ego. When higher is the ego, higher will be the suffering. Higher will be your say lack of happiness. Lower will be your happiness. You will fall down in the scale of in this happiness. The more you compare, more you measure with others, you will fall down in this uh, happiness levels, happiness quotient, happiness index. This you should thoroughly understand. Then you get tremendous freedom. Then you get tremendous wisdom to work on yourself, to penetrate into your own abilities, your own mental abilities. Then this comparison is an absolutely foolish way of living. Knowingly or unknowingly, we are very much influenced by the world around us, but greater is your wisdom, greater is your keeping away this inner say desire to compare with others, then greater will be your happiness. So the conceit that mana, that I-ness and minus, that ego will develop because of measuring, comparing. So that is the beauty of this word mana. Mana has both these meanings. Mana means measuring, mana means this ego, I-ness and minus. So once you stop measuring, then you can reduce your ego, then you can reduce your conceit, then you can reduce your I-ness and minus. So in that way, when you stop comparing, then your happiness levels will increase. In the West, they think of conceit as a sense of superiority. Of course, even in East also, in India also, mana or ego means like it is a sense of superiority. That's what people think. We think, but according to Buddha, of course, in realistic sense, it is not just the sense of superiority that is mana. Even the sense of inferiority is also mana. Oh, he is superior, I am inferior. In that way, if you think, no, then you're stuck with this I-ness and minus. You are bringing in this idea of I-ness and minus. I am inferior. There the I comes. Then it is also ego. It is also mana. It is also conceit. Not only this inferiority, not just superiority, not only this inferiority, even the equality complex or equality, the sense of equality also. I am equal to him. In that way, if you measure, if you compare, that is also mana. Why? There also, I am equal to him. That I comes there also. What is the need of being equal with him? And you can't be equal with anybody because, as I told you, each and every individual is unique. He is the result of his own thinking, not just in this life, from so many lives. Then how can you compare yourself with him? It is absolute ignorance, absolute foolishness. So, in that way, the sense of equality, the sense of inferiority, the sense of superiority, all these things, uh, which are the result of comparison, which are the product of comparison, these things, if you stop, then automatically you are lessening, you are diluting, you are decreasing your attachment to I-ness and minus, then you experience superior happiness, higher happiness. You progress in this happiness index. So that is one more factor, the third factor of the happiness and happiness index. And it includes thinking that you are equal to others, inferior to others, but also is measuring, comparing, just not thinking in terms of self and other at all. You should not think of I-ness, myself, and himself or herself, yourself, myself, these things, self-based thinking, you should stop. The ideal in Buddhism is a kind of flow state in which we unself-consciously respond to others without any conceptualization of there being a self or another. So that anatta thing, as I was telling you, it is me and it is there others. If you stick on to this more and more firmly, then we establish in this mana and this ego and we suffer more. If you lighten up these things of me and others, myself and other, this himself or herself and yourself, if you reduce your emphasis on these things and you look at these things as some fleeting phenomena, whether it is me or others or whoever it is, it's all fleeting phenomena. We should work on wisdom, we should work on the right view, we should work on consciousness, we should work on compassion, unconditional loving kindness and compassion, we should work on confidence levels, we should work on the right thinking, right view. So in these things, if you focus instead of focusing on self, myself, and someone else, so those things, if you stop thinking, then you will stop comparing, then you will increase your happiness index. Hmm. Though possessing many a virtue, one should not compare oneself with others by deeming oneself better or equal or inferior. Whatever may be your virtues, whatever may be your qualities, don't try to compare with anybody. Just if at all, if you want to compare, you compare with your previous state of mind. Previously, I was more greedy. Now I am more free. Previously, I was more hateful. Now I am relatively little hateful. Previously, opposite also may happen. Previously, I was more compassionate. Now I am becoming more angry, more hateful. That way, if at all, if you want to compare, compare with your state of mind with the previous state of your mind. Hmm? If at all, if you want to compare. Otherwise, there is no need of comparison at all. So lesser the comparison, higher the happiness. This is the third factor. Then the fourth factor is, of course, knowing the bliss of deathlessness. So this is again in Anguttara Nikaya. Knowing the bliss of deathlessness and recollecting the bliss of having, enjoying the bliss of health, the mortal then sees clearly with discernment. Seeing clearly, the wise one, he knows both sides, that these are not worth 1/16th of the bliss of blamelessness. See, what is the point here? The material gains that you possess through the wealth, through your, say, uh, worldly gains, whatever you gain with these worldly things like money, like say the wealth, the property. So the whatever happiness you gain from this uh, is less than 1/16 of the bliss of blamelessness. Blamelessness means, like, by practicing Shila, you become blameless. By practicing Dana and Shila, you become blameless. Blameless means what? Nobody will blame you. If you are a violent man, if you are a cheater, if you are indulging in sexual misconduct, if you are lying, if you are taking intoxicants, definitely you will be blamed. And if you are possessing the things by harming others, by cheating others, that will not give you the real happiness. By blamelessness only you will get the happiness. That means here you don't give much importance to your don't put money or the prosperity or the physical things in the say, it should not given preference in the list of what you want to achieve happiness. Put money low on the list. Put the physical possessions low on the list. That is the point that it's being highlighted here. Give higher preference to this blamelessness, practicing the mind, practicing the Shila and developing the mind. You give preference. Okay. So in that way, giving preference to the mind cultivation mind purification, by practicing Shila, by practicing meditation, by practicing other meritorious actions. That gives you higher happiness than simply accumulating the things, having the things, possessing the things. That is the point that is being highlighted here. The priorities in the life, understanding the priorities in the life. That also I have explained in my courses. The first priority in the life always should be working on the mind, not just simply stuck with the physical necessities, physical desires, and also ego desires. Kamatanaha and Bhavatanaha. We are stuck with the sensual desires and we give a lot of emphasis, a lot of priority to fulfill these sensual pleasures. Or we give a lot of importance to ego, Bhavatanaha, and we are stuck in this promoting this highness and minus only in this world. And we don't give importance to mind culture, the mind purification. So this kind of understanding the priorities in the life and giving the priority to the mind culture is the next factor of happiness index, next factor of higher happiness to progress in this happiness index, happiness quotient. That is what is explained in this fourth factor, understanding the priorities in the life. Then the fifth factor is having your meaningful goals, as again I was explaining some time back. Nibbana Paramam Sukham. Freedom should be one's goal, the ultimate goal, especially for the human beings. Developing the mind and freeing the mind completely, because that is the ultimate happiness. That understanding we have, Nibbana Paramam Sukham, freedom from the defilements of the mind, completely freeing the mind from all defilements and reach what is called moksha, nibbana. That is my goal. If that understanding, if you have, then you will completely tune everything to achieve that goal. You will strike the moderation, strike the balance in all your worldly desires, your ego desires, sense desires, and you will balance everything and you start trotting in this path of nibbana. And that is also one wonderful journey to progress in the happiness index. He gains enthusiasm for the goal, that is nibbana, gains enthusiasm for the dhamma, that is the path to reach nibbana, gains gladness connected with the dhamma. So in this goal and in this path, there is gladness, there is happiness. In the goal of nibbana, in the path of nibbana, if a person starts trotting, then he will increase his happiness levels. That is what is there in the Majjhima Nikaya, in one of the sutras of Majjhima Nikaya. That is what is explained. That is what is quoted. So one should have this higher goal of completely liberating the mind, and one should know the path of reaching that higher goal. Then each and every step that you take in this path to reach that higher goal, that gives you the true happiness. That will increase your happiness quotient, happiness index. That is what is this fifth aspect about the happiness index, increasing the happiness levels. In Harvard University, there is one department called happiness department. They're working. So they say happiness lies at the intersection between pleasure and meaning. So whatever pleasure you're looking for, you should find out the meaning of that pleasure. Then the true happiness is there. So here the meaning, what we are emphasizing here, the meaning of happiness should always be connected with our highest goal in the life, that is nibbana. In that way, if you can connect the happiness with your ultimate goal of nibbana, then nobody can stop you in progressing in this happiness quotient, this happiness index. Then the sixth factor of happiness is take initiative at work. For in that again in Anguttara Nikaya there is a statement, there is a verse. Heedful at administering or working at one's own occupation, leading to welfare and happiness. Heedful at administering and working at one's own occupation with complete chanda, complete virya, completely involving in your occupation involving in your work complete heedfulness, with complete attentiveness, with complete interest, with complete effort, with complete willpower, that leads to welfare and happiness. That gives you the true welfare, that gives you true happiness. The diligence, that it's not like workaholicness, it is diligence in your work. It is complete involvement and diligence in your work also gives you the happiness. Higher the diligence, higher the happiness and welfare. That is the point here. The sixth factor. How happy you are at work depends in part on how much initiative you take, how much involvement and initiative you have in the work. That determines your happiness in the workplace. And again, some researchers, what they say, that when we express creativity, help others, suggest improvements, or do additional tasks on the job, we make our work more rewarding and feel more in control. So in that way, you should involve in your work. You should accept, you should own that particular work that you are doing. That's what is explained in our Iddhipada, in Chanda. So in detail, so our level 1 itself. And also, of course, the willpower, how much will you have in completing and finishing that work, and then how much focused you are in that particular work, how much responsible for the results of that work. All these things will contribute to your happiness in the workplace. These things also please remember, because all of you have to take up some occupation, some work, and it's not just merely taking the occupation of work and putting forth all these things, all these faculties of the mind, like Chanda, Virya, Chitta, Mimamsa, owning the things, putting forth your effort and willpower, focusing on your work and taking the responsibility for the results of the work. All these things will contribute to your happiness. So it should involve the workplace. The work should involve both initiative and intelligence. By whatsoever activity a clansman makes his living, he is deft and tireless, gifted with an inquiring turn of mind into ways and means. He should know the different ways and means to accomplish that task. He is able to arrange and carry out his job. Then only he can successfully carry out his job, and that is what is one of the indicators, one of the factors for your happiness. Then the next factor is, the seventh factor is, make friends, treasure family. So there, what in the Mangala Sutta, what is explained in this Mangala Sutta regarding friends and the family, support for one's parents, assistance to one's wife and children, consistency in one's work and in one's workplace. This is the highest protection from suffering. So supporting the people who are dependent on you, whether it is your family, parents, children, wife, and the colleagues and the employees of the employer, supporting them. That very nature of supporting them itself is one of the. We don't just need relationships, we need close ones. It's not just one mere superficial relation, it is the closeness with the people with whom you are working. That will also contribute to your happiness. The spiritual friendship was the whole of spiritual life. That's what that metta is, the whole of spiritual life. We want to progress spiritually, not only in the materialistic life, we want to progress spiritually. The association matters. How close you are with the associates that you are going through in your life, that determines your happiness. Generosity, kind words, beneficial help, and consistency in the face of events, all these things will matter. The friendship, all these things will contribute to the metta, the friendship, and that will definitely increase your happiness quotient, happiness levels. Then, next important thing, look on the bright side, the positive thing. So, what is told in Majjhima Nikaya regarding this? Even if bandits were to carve you up savagely, limb by limb, with a two-handled saw, he among you who let his heart get angered, even at that, would not be doing my bidding. Got it? So even you are being tortured by the bandits, they're cutting your limbs one by one, but still you should generate forgiveness. Forgiveness is being highlighted. The more you are that ability to forgive, uh, the more happy you will become. This is the point here. We don't simply keep grudge or keep that revengefulness. Somebody tortures us or troubles us, we keep that in our mind and we try to hit back. But if you simply let go and forgive, that will add up to your happiness. That will increase your happiness quotient, your happiness levels. That's what is highlighted here. Even then, you should train yourself. Even some people are torturing, our minds will be unaffected and we will say no evil words. We will forgive them, we don't say evil words. We will remain sympathetic with a mind full of goodwill and with no inner hate. We will keep pervading these people with an awareness imbued with goodwill and beginning with them. We will keep pervading the all encompassing world with an awareness imbued with goodwill, abundant, expansive, immeasurable, free from hostility, free from ill will. In that way, you should train yourselves. That way, Buddha has given this importance of forgiveness and imbuing the mind with this compassion and loving kindness and equanimity. That way, so if you learn this art of forgiveness, then automatically you will increase in this ability to say in these wholesome feelings, loving kindness, compassion, appreciation, and equanimity. And these things will definitely contribute to your inner joy, your happiness levels. So that is about the next factor in the happiness levels. So you should look on the bright side, even with the most crooked person. Happy people see possibilities, opportunities, and success. They look at the solutions, not at the problems. The solution-seeking mind is a happy mind. The problem-seeking mind is unhappy mind. When they think of the future, they're optimistic, and when they review the past, they tend to savor the high points. From the past, also they try to learn. In the future, also they will be more optimistic, and in the present, also they look for the solutions. That is what is called the positive thinking, or looking at the brighter side of the life. So, in that way, if you change your attitude towards life, look at the solutions instead of looking at the problems, again, that will increase your happiness quotient, happiness index. You will progress in this happiness index. Then the next factor, the ninth factor is gratitude. Yeah, this is very, very important. Again, in Anguttara Nikaya, there is a saying, there is a verse: a person of integrity is always grateful and thankful. A person with integrity, that is actually very, very important either in worldly progress or in the spiritual progress. If you are ungrateful, then you will become absolutely a crooked person, a very wretched person, and you completely lose your say foundation. You will be completely ruined, completely destroyed and ruined if you are ungrateful. This gratitude, this thankfulness is advocated by wise people, civil people. This gratitude, this thankfulness, and of course, if it is the spiritual dimension, if it becomes respect. Of course, in the worldly levels also there should be respect. In the spiritual levels, there should be definitely the respect component should be there in the gratitude. And if these things, if you increase the thankfulness and gratitude and respectfulness towards whatever you have gained from some individual or from a group, that will also contribute to your happiness. Such a person will become a trustworthy person who is thankful, who is grateful, and such a person will definitely progress in whatever path that he has chosen. But definitely will progress in the happiness levels also. People who keep gratitude journals on a weekly basis are healthier, more optimistic, and more likely to make progress towards achieving personal goals, according to some researchers. Gratitude journals means like the on weekly basis means like the very, very enthusiastic in becoming more and more gratitude in whatever they get, whatever they learn, whatever they say obtain from the people around them. If they show more and more gratitude, if they show more and more thankfulness, then they will be more and more happy. So that is the ninth factor of happiness. And then the next one is giving some importance to uh, said training the body also. So for that, what is told in Anguttara Nikaya, these monks are the five benefits of walking up and down. By practicing walking meditation, there are five benefits. One is fit for long journeys. There are these five benefits of walking up and down. What five? The first one is it is fit for long journeys. During those days, of course, they used to walk. They used to take up long journeys. So if they want to take up either to teach or for anything, for business, for everything, those times people used to walk many kilometers, yojanas, thousands, maybe hundreds of kilometers. So for that, the body should be fit. So by practicing this walking meditation, you will be fit for long journeys. One is fit for striving, not only for long journeys, even for striving, any work, even for meditation, you have to sit hours and hours. The body should be fit. Even for working in the office, also the body should be fit. Nowadays, it's a sedentary lifestyle. Your working involves at least to sit, if not more on, not use your limbs. At least you should sit for hours and hours. Even for that, there should be some physical stamina, physical strength. So for that, walking meditation will help you. Okay. So then one has little disease, it will keep away a lot of sicknesses and diseases. That which is eaten, drink, chewed, tasted goes through proper digestion. So your digestion capacity will increase. Whatever you eat, drink, chew, taste, it will be properly digested. The composure attained by walking up and down is long lasting. Your body will be straight, your body will be, say, that good, say, the shape of the body you can maintain, the composure of the body you can maintain. And in that way, that will help you to have that long lasting composure when you practice this walking and walking. In the sense, what is being highlighted here is a little bit of exercise to the body is also necessary. Taking care of the body with a little bit of exercise is also necessary. That will also increase your, say, the happiness levels. So in that way, giving some scriptural background, some practical aspects of increasing your happiness quotient, happiness index is explained here. So in our courses also, all these 10 points are directly or indirectly covered. And the last week's some 5 points, the total some 15 points, 15 factors of happiness index, increasing our levels in the happiness index, increasing our happiness quotient that we have learned. So in our courses also, the 4 faculties of the mind we started working. By developing awareness quotient, we are increasing our mindfulness, our ability to penetrate into the present moment, higher the ability to penetrate into the present moment by practicing different kinds of mind-body coordination, sense awareness techniques, different stilling techniques of the mind. They are penetrating into the present moment, and higher is the ability to penetrate into the present moment. Higher is your happiness. It will take you up to the complete liberation, the ultimate happiness, nibbana. And of course, the feelings also. Higher the feelings, your metta, karuna, mudita, upekka, you progress in these feelings, and your happiness levels will increase. And the higher happiness, the superior happiness, is the happiness of equanimity. The physical happiness, the happiness uh, by satiating the desires of the body, is one level of happiness. The second level of happiness is the happiness of the mind, the ego happiness. That is, of course, very much seen in the worldly things. But Buddha calls them as very inferior happiness. But of course, the normal human beings, one has to satiate the physical needs also, one has to satiate these ego needs also. But you should remember, it's not just the end. And as supremely enlightened one Buddha says, it is not at all happiness. It's kamatanaha and bhavatanaha only. That will simply excite you, that will again disappoint you. You get trapped in this excitement and disappointed. You get trapped, you get squeezed, and you get choked in this excitement and happiness. You are simply stuck only with this physical needs and mental needs, your ego satisfaction and self satisfaction. If you're stuck here, then you can't progress in the happiness index. You should go beyond that. That is the samatha sutta, happiness of equanimity that you should achieve. Then only you will progress in the happiness levels. Hmm. So by cultivating, practicing thoroughly these four, say, wholesome feelings, metta, karuna, mudra, upekka, also will increase in this happiness quotient, happiness index, authoritatively, and then by increasing your confidence levels through the siddhipada, through right faith, and through right anusatis, and anusati meditation, you'll increase your happiness quotient, happiness index, and by increasing your right understanding, the right view, also if you progress this right view, then your happiness index, you will progress in happiness index, your happiness levels will increase. That way, the entire course, the different levels that are designed, they are designed in such a way that you progress from lower happiness levels to higher happiness levels. In that way, you progress in this happiness index. Okay. Of course, each and every word of Buddha, each and every word of the teaching, it is associated with some right view, which will increase your right understanding, right confidence, right faith, right feelings, right awareness. In that way, they contribute to your happiness, no doubt in it. But still, if you want to group them, you can group them in these different ways and different factors that we have seen last week and this week also. And how our programs also, our courses also will take you to higher levels of happiness that we have seen. I think that much is enough for today. And if you have some questions, you can ask, and then we can conclude. Any questions?
Pranam Manteji,
Yes,
as of now, we don't see any questions.
any questions?
No questions, Manteji.
Okay, we'll conclude.
Okay, Manteji.
Okay, so we'll conclude with one small chanting. You just contemplate on these things, the different factors of happiness. After all of us, not just humans, all beings, even the animals or other beings also, they are in pursuit of happiness. They are in the quest of happiness. But unfortunately, we end up in suffering, though we are intensely, very seriously, very honestly, very enthusiastically, we are searching for happiness, but again and again we fall into suffering. It's because of we have not understood about different ways and means to achieve happiness and progress in this happiness index. And the world also simply misleading. They brought this term happiness index uh, in different levels. Uh, they, they, they want to find out the happiness index or the happiness quotient, the happiness levels of different countries, different companies, different individuals, based on so many, say, very unauthoritative factors, units. Like, say, if you have a lot of money, wealth, you are happy in that way. Some people conclude, and they make it one say priority in the life, and the people who meet with that one, they conclude that group or that person, that company or that community or that country is a happy country. They say it has higher happiness index. And some people, they have different factors. The more you tune with the nature, like in Bhutan and all, they respect nature, they tune themselves with nature, then they consider it as they have higher happiness index. And some people, they where this crime rate is very less, In such countries, the happiness index is high. That way, some people conclude they're okay, more or less. It will give you some kind of shallow happiness. But if you want to know the complete range of happiness, the complete canvas of happiness, then you have to say contemplate these different factors which are very authoritative, like mindfulness. If you achieve a little bit of mindfulness, how much happy you are, and how you progress in this mindfulness, settling your mind in the present moment, how it takes you to ultimate happiness also. In that way, if you go some superior factors or authoritative factors like mindfulness, the art of letting go, art of giving, and that's what is highlighted in the Four Noble Truths also. Third Noble Truth is all about letting go. Higher your ability to let go, higher will be your happiness. The fourth noble truth is all about the right view of letting go, right view of moderation, right view of say 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 non-ego, anatta, the right view of impermanence. So all these right view based uh, awareness and feelings and understanding and confidence you develop, how you progress in happiness, that is being explained in this the fourth noble truth. The third and fourth noble truths is all about happiness only. So comprehend and understand the complete stretch of happiness, then you can find out where you are, and then you will get an idea of what is the next step that you should take to achieve higher happiness. May all of you achieve higher happiness. May all of you progress in this happiness index. So with that wish, we will conclude.
Manteji, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, yes.
There is one question from Aparna Savatkar Mamji.
Yeah.
What she asks, what can we do if someone held grudges with us? This is her question. What can we do if someone held grudges with us?
So if someone has grudge towards me, what should I do? That is what is the question, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I told you in the last week's say happiness index factors. Like if somebody, you have to be in the midst of people who are having hatefulness towards you, who are having grudge towards you, who are having that revengeful mind towards you. Person who learns how to become non-hateful towards them, that will determine his happiness. Though some people are having grudge towards you, so you develop these wholesome feelings towards the person, and focus again on your work and your responsibilities, your thing, and develop your awareness levels and develop your understanding, and just be involved in your work. These things also will reduce your reaction towards that person, that grudging person. So actually, any of these developments, they will get fuel when somebody reacts to it. Let us say, for example, I have grudge towards Anirudh. So, though Anirudh, if Anirudh maintains some calmness and if he ignores it and if he minds his own business, ignoring me or developing compassion towards me without reacting to me, then my grudge towards him will keep reducing. When he reacts, oh, he is grudging towards me, then I should do something to him in that way. Anirudh reacts towards my grudge, then his grudge also will increase and my grudge also will increase. There is no end for this negative defilements, these negativities. If I show negativity, he will reciprocate it. And again, I will increase my negativity. Somewhere, somehow it should be stopped. It should put break to this stream, this reactivity. Because the higher the resistance, higher the reactions, higher the defilements, higher the problem, higher the suffering. Somewhere it should be stopped. One person should take that lead. One person should take that that first step to stop it. And how one can stop it? By all these skillful means, by all these wiser techniques. Like one should increase one's own awareness levels, increase one's own compassion levels, my metta levels, equanimity levels. One should increase one's own confidence levels, workmanship levels, involving his own work more enthusiastically. That will also reduce your reaction to the other person. So in that way, all these four faculties of the mind, the different techniques you have learned, and all these 15 factors, more or less, they come under these four faculties of the mind that we discussed from past months that you have learned. Level 1, level 2, level 3. All these things will help you not to react to the world's from the world what you are getting in the form of grudge, the form of attachment, in the form of greed, the form of delusion. You can put a break for it. You can make yourself an island. You can prevent the external influence, the external bad influence, negative influence, in the form of this grudge, or revenge, or hatefulness, or jealousy. In that way, don't counter with the same negativity. Whatever negativity you are getting, don't counter it with the same negativity. Then you will fall into say higher suffering. You will fall into the hells. Nobody can rescue you. That is what is wisdom. That is what is spirituality. That is what is skillfulness. That is what is mind culture. That art of non-reacting. That art of proacting skillfully to the negative people, towards the negative people, towards the say hateful people, towards the unskillful, unwise, foolish people. That is the way. That is the way to fix the problems. That is the way to look at the solutions. In that way, you can handle the people who are creating say some kind of developing grudge towards you by this non-reacting, by creating all these four faculties of the mind. Okay. Any other question?
No other questions, Prithiji. Thank you for this beautiful talk.
Okay. So we'll conclude with a small chant. नमो तस्सा भगवतो अर्हतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्सा भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सर्वधर्मानुभावेन सर्वसङ्गानुभावेन सदा स्वस्ति भवन्तु ते सुखी भवेयं निदुःखो अहं निच्चा अहं विया इदा च मे सुखी होन्तु मज्जता च तवेदिनो इमामिदं मन्ते धम्मे सत्त होन्तु सुखी सदा ततो परं चारज्येषु चक्रवालेषु जन्तनो साधु 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 सुखी होन्तु मंगल हो. May all of you be happy, healthy and peaceful. May all of you progress in these happiness levels. May all of you reach the highest happiness also. May all beings also be happy, healthy and peaceful. Sukhi rahe.